Hello everyone! For this video, I will be covering some space-saving tips that you can use when creating your resume. As a note, I'm using the 2018 version of Word. One of the best ways to free up some space on your resume is by changing the margins. So right now on this resume, we are using narrow margins, but let's see what happens when we change back to regular margins. You can go up on the top over to the Layout tab and click on Margins in the drop-down. So let's see what happens when we hit Normal. With normal margins, which are 1 inch on each side, you can see that this now spills over to a second page. We really want to keep undergraduate resumes to just one page, so switching over to narrow margins, which are 0.5 inches all around, is a great way to free up space. Another way that you can save space on a resume is by reducing the size of the lines between each section. So as we can see here, if we go back over to the Home tab, these lines in between all of these sections are in 12-point font, which is what the rest of the font size is. But if we want to reduce the size of these spaces, but still keep those spaces to kind of break up the resume, we can actually just reduce the font size here. So let's check out doing a 6.5 font here. As you can see, we now have a much smaller space in between these sections, and we can test this out by putting this in between all of the sections. And if you do implement this throughout the whole thing, it will end up saving a good amount of space on the bottom there. This isn't as necessary for this specific resume example because we do have some space at the bottom, but it can be a really great space saver tip. Another thing you will want to experiment with space saving is different fonts. Not only font sizes, but different font styles. So right now we're using Arial, size 12 font for the body text. We have a larger size for the name, which is totally fine. But let's see what happens if we decide to switch this font. So we can go in and look at Arial and look at the narrow version of Arial. As we can see with the narrow version of Arial, we do get a lot of freed up space now on the bottom. It's maybe better shown by zooming out a little bit. So let's switch back over to regular and kind of see that change we have. So definitely a big change in space on the bottom. So experimenting with different types of fonts and different sizes can really help save a lot of space. Try experimenting with all these different types of methods and see what works best for your resume. Remember that the goal is to keep it to just one page if you're an undergraduate student. Best of luck!